Good evening, leaders of the heart. Really excited to come to you this Thursday evening. Tonight I'm actually bringing you the very first course in our leadership class, and this is course number 1. It's the Introduction to Heart-Based Leadership. It's your first opportunity with me to kind of go through what is Leaders of the Heart, what are we endeavoring to do, and what are some of the things that you can do starting right now as we go through the course that might make a big difference in your life or even someone else's. So if you'll give me just a second, I'm going to switch over here. I've got a little bit of a slideshow to share with you. So this is going to be, as I said, course number 1, Introduction to Heart-Driven Leadership or Heart-Based Leadership. The two words there are synonymous. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. I thought it was really important before we get into any learning with you that we talk about at Leaders of the Heart, what are our core beliefs? What are the things that we stand behind, and what are some of the things that made me want to start this process with you, and what are the things that I believe and that I hope you would believe along with me. So the first one that we believe is leadership should be accessible. Should be readily available to anyone out there that wants to study leadership, apply themselves, become a better leader. It should be open to everyone at every level. So whether you are the leader of a giant organization, of a community, a church, a company, or whether you're in a group of friends, or whether you're just leading someone who's right beside you, it should be open to everyone at every level. Because we believe here that if you're born into this world, you're a leader. We also believe that leadership should be an ongoing conversation. So this should be something that's not you write it on stone and you set it against the wall and then it's done. I believe personally that leadership should be an ongoing conversation. I also believe that leadership should be practical. So there's a lot of books on the subject that you can go out, you can go to Barnes & Noble, you can go on Amazon.com, you can read through hundreds and hundreds of pages. I think the challenge is it's not always applicable to our everyday life. And so that's why I say, when I say practical, what I mean is it should be able to be practiced. I believe that leadership of the heart should be able to be practiced. What that means is the things that you can do every day, that you can repeat every day in everyday situations where you can say, I can get better at this by trying. Oftentimes, we think of great leaders as they just have this innate ability to be a great speaker, or they have this innate ability to just kind of get people to do things. I believe that with leaders of the heart, that we should be able to find things that, like any good athlete would, practice over and over again. As they say, perfect practice makes perfect. So we believe in doing things that are practical. Leadership should be heartfelt. So what does that mean? It means coming from a place of honesty with yourself. It means everything that you're doing because you believe that to be true and you believe that to be the case. You're coming from a place of honesty in yourself and with others. The next one would be, it's heart-centered. So at Leaders of the Heart, we believe that the heart drives the mind, the will, the emotions, and the actions. So you should always be leading to and from the heart. And most importantly, we believe at Leaders of the Heart that leadership should be aimed for the benefit of others, not the benefit of the leader. So all the things that we are doing and that I'm doing should be to improve you, and you improve the person next to you. Improve their life, their happiness, their mood, their job, their career, the family, the community, the church. So leading isn't about what I get out of it. Leading is about what the person who may be following is getting out of it. Accessible, practical, and heartfelt. So my goal with you is to be able to bring all these 3 things to you and teach you some of the things that I've learned, and also I'm hoping that you can teach me some of the things that you've learned as well. So what is heart-driven or heart-based leadership? As I said just a moment ago, it's leading from an understanding that we are all created with a heart or soul, and that drives our thoughts and actions. So to put a finer point on it, meaning what happens in here, in my heart, is what leads to my mind, which is then what leads to the outward things that I do. One of the things that I really, really believe is If there's something happening on the outside, there's probably something else happening on the inside. And I think in science they say that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, or that there's cause and effect, right? So if you see an effect, well, there's going to be an innate cause. There's going to be a beginning cause. I believe that these things that we see on the outside with the people that are around us really start on the inside. So heart-driven leadership is saying, let's start with the heart. Let's take care of the heart. Let's nurture the heart. Let's lead the heart. And by leading the heart, the mind, the will, the soul, the actions will follow, both externally and internally. So what does that look like? What is that heart process? So this is another way of looking at it. The heart drives the mind, drives the action. So when you are leading the group that you're in, the community that you're in, the organization that you're in, consider those that you may be leading and consider their heart. Consider the things that they may be feeling, the things that they may be going through. Consider how the actions that you take every day might affect their heart, their soul, might affect that process, because that is the process, in my opinion, that drives the mind and ultimately drives the action. And I will tell you, so many things that we hear about in this world, it's all about action. So people want to correct the action, or people want to change the action. People want to change the result. I believe that if you start with the heart, if you start at the cause, if you start at the very beginning and you operate from that place of we are leading everyone by heart and we're going to do the things that are right for the heart and then continue on, I do believe that we can make an impact. This isn't applicable to every situation, but it could be. So if you think about it, you're going down the river, you're in the raft, you're going down the Whitewater Rapids, it's scary, the waves are crashing, the boat's flipping and flopping back and forth, and you can say, well, why would you want to lead from the heart if you're in a raft going down the Whitewater Rapids? We just need to make certain we don't flip over the boat, right? We just need to make certain that everyone kind of rows at the same time. Well, think about it. At the core there, you have a group of people in this raft. It's a scary situation. Maybe some of the people have never done it before. There's going to be a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty. And imagine the emotions that are going through in the hearts and minds of the people that are in that raft. So maybe you're the tour guide on this raft and you've been down the river 1,000 times. So you're not feeling the things in your heart that the new people are, because you've done this before and you know the way. But think about what's happening inside the hearts and minds of the people that may be on that raft. Maybe heart-based leadership actually could work in this situation. Listen, guys, I know you're scared, and I know that you're very uncertain of what to do. And I get it. You're freaked out right now. You signed up for this whitewater rafting trip. You thought it was going to be the best time of your life. Now you're sitting here and you're thinking, what the heck did I get myself into? Listen, no one's getting hurt today. Everyone's going home in one piece, but I need you to not listen to that fear. I need you to stay focused. I need you to put your oar in the water, and I need you to turn and steer the way that I tell you to, and everyone's going to be okay. And trust me, by the time we're done with this thing, you're going to want to do it again. That's the heart-driven process. That's getting to the core of what may cause people to do and think things that will not be for their benefit. So we want to start with the heart, and we want to do and say things to the people around us in our lives that's really going to benefit them, that's going to help them grow, ultimately to lead them. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds too easy. Well, it's not as easy as it sounds, because you can't lead the heart of a person just one way. So to date, we've talked about the 3 leadership styles. The visionary leader, they sort of give inspiration and motivation. You have the directional leader who gives people where to go and what to do and how to be purposeful in that. And you have the servant leader who is more creative and wants to really help people. So there's a mix of that in all of us. And different people react to different leadership styles different ways, although we all need a little bit of each one. So I want to just kind of take a second with you. Let's talk about the visionary. This would be your natural habitat, if you will. So if you're a visionary leader by nature, when you see this screen right here, you know it's you. You are more comfortable in front of a crowd of people talking about big picture ideas, maybe than you are one-on-one trying to talk about how to get something done. The thought of climbing atop of a mountain and looking out for many, many miles excites you. The thought about the future excites you. You buy all the latest products because they're the first off the shelf, and you want to be the first to try it. And you do a lot of reading, and maybe you follow the news, and you're constantly looking towards the future. The people around you will typically feel very inspired by you, very motivated by you. You can kind of be the life of the party. You're constantly thinking about what's the next thing to do. And the people around you really rely on you for knowing where are we going, but not necessarily how to get there. So that's when the directors take over. And the directors is much like the photograph you see here. It's not, I'm sitting in a seat, I'm a movie director, or it's not director in terms of how we've heard it before, where directors are very much like, I'm going to tell you what to do. It's very much about, here's the roadmap, we're trying to get from point A to point B, let me help you map out sort of the way to get there. And I'm very much focused on, it's not about, the sites are great, it's great scenery, but right now we've only got so much gas in the car, and we've got to go 200 miles, we have half a tank, we have this much luggage in the car, so we've got to travel at this speed to get to our destination by this time. That's a director. Now, what is a challenge for a director is, if you look here, directors give both direction and purpose. The purpose piece is a little bit harder. Giving people direction on where to go and when to go, that can be done. But purpose really involves, let me tell you how the piece of what you're doing and the actions that you're taking with this direction, how it fits into the larger scheme of things in our company, organization, in our church, in this group, and in your life. So, as we just looked at, the visionaries, absolutely great about kind of looking towards the future. You can't get to the future without the directors. You can't do it. If it was just a bunch of visionaries in the room, we would sit around all day, we would talk about these great big things that are going to happen in the future, but it would never happen. So without the directors, there's no way to map out what that path looks like, and there's no way to give people purpose. But there's not just direction and vision. There's also the servant. Probably the number one most misunderstood leadership characteristic. Oftentimes, servants aren't always seen as leaders. So there could be a group, let's say, and I'm just going to give a generic example. You're in a church. You've got the pastor at the front of the church who's doing the speaking. You've got someone else that may be an usher who's giving direction. And then you've got somebody at the very back of the church behind sort of the closed curtain, and they're running the sound. Nobody ever sees them, right? So who's leading? Is it the pastor that's speaking in the front? Is it the usher who's directing people to a great seat? Or is it the person that's making certain the sound comes on and people can hear? Well, they're all leading. And oftentimes, it's that servant piece, though, that gets most misunderstood. Absolutely, by serving and being creative, you are absolutely leading absolutely as much as you are if you were a visionary or a director. And we all need to find a way to find those servants in our lives and really recognize and thank them for their leadership. So, the truth is, though, not one of you who's watching is just one of these. There's going to be one of these styles that you're most comfortable with. It's the place that you go to first. So, I think I've told the story before. If you go to a party and the room's packed full of people, maybe you're new, you don't know a lot of people, the first thing you do is kind of make a beeline for the kitchen or the drink area because you want to go help maybe serve snacks or drinks because that's where you're comfortable. You're probably a servant. If you walk into a party for the first time and the first thing you want to do is kind of figure out, all right, where's the restrooms, where are my friends, how do I get to this and that, who's got drinks, who doesn't have drinks, you're probably going to be more of a director, someone who's very direct. Still, I don't think even as a director, when you get into a party kind of full of a lot of people and it seems a bit chaotic, this would really drive you nuts as a director, right? So you walk into the party, people are talking, people are doing random things, kind of drive you nuts because you like that order. Another person walks into that same party, they're the visionary, all they see is an audience, right? So they don't see the fact that, things aren't really happening, they don't even see what's happening in, the kitchen area or the fact that nothing's organized. What they see is an audience. And the really outspoken ones are going to go right into that motivation, inspiration, and performance. So the truth is, as we talked about before, you're going to know the one that you are. I guarantee it. Of the three that I just showed you, you knew in a half a second which one was most like you. Now, what I found to be absolutely true is to be a leader of the heart, to be that next level of leader in your life, it's you at the center, and you need to find a way to actually balance out the three characteristics and to be able to utilize all three styles, even though you don't necessarily have strengths in one. So one of the things that I want to kind of point out here just for a second is, if you look at this chart that you see in front of you, you have visionary, director, servant, and everything's kind of pointing there to the right. If you find the one that's most like you, and let's say it's the visionary, it's what's to the left, to the right and the left. Those are the two areas where you're going to actually struggle with. So if you're a visionary, you may struggle giving direction, and you may struggle serving. All right? If you're a director, you may struggle giving vision and servantry, and so on and so forth. Most likely, though, there's another one that you would say, I do that pretty well most of the time. So maybe you're a servant visionary. So you really like to serve other people, you like to be creative, but you like to motivate and inspire people. You're always talking about big picture, and then you try to help get it done. You probably really struggle with being a good directional leader. On the flip side, if you're a director servant, so you like to lay out the roadmap, okay guys, we have to get X, Y, and Z done, let me pitch in. Oftentimes what people say about you is, well, I understand that you're helping me, and I know you're pitching in, you've told us what to do. Why are we doing this again? What's the purpose? Where are we headed? What's the vision? So we all need leaders in our life who know how to balance all three. What my endeavor to do with you, with Leaders of the Heart, and something that I want to figure out for myself, is I want to be more balanced with all three in my life. So I want to be able to sit like that brown circle at the center of the screen every single day and be able to go to the style in the moment that I need. So the question I'll leave you with today at the end of this first course: what style do you think you are? Which one do you think that you struggle the most with? What are some of the things that you could do in the area that you struggle the most? If you're a servant visionary and you struggle giving direction and purpose, could you take a moment tomorrow and maybe write out the things that people would need to do to achieve the goal, and then scratch your name off the list? One thing that's very difficult for servants to do is not do it. Come up with a purpose and the direction, and then hand it over to others. If you're a visionary and you struggle serving, maybe after you've thought about the big thing that you want to do, maybe you write down one thing that you could do that would help get it done. If you're a director and you struggle with giving people vision of where you're trying to really go and what that looks like, maybe tomorrow you stop giving directions and you start talking about the scenery. So here's a for instance, you're leading a group as you're going on a tour, maybe across the U.S., and you're really focused on making certain everyone knows the map and the directions and how to get to the next stop. How about next time that after you've given the directions, you talk about the scenery along the way, and you really get people excited about what they're seeing. It's really possible for you to do this, but it does take a little bit of effort, and it does take a little bit of kind of understanding yourself. So this was the first course. Today we talked about the core beliefs of Leaders of the Heart. We showcased the heart-driven process and what that means, and then we looked at each leadership characteristic. I hope you've enjoyed this. Next time, I think we're going to get deeper into what are some of the more specific things that we can do to be more balanced. I'm looking forward to bringing those with you, and I hope that you enjoyed today's session. Thank you.